What's going on, golf addicts? Welcome to Tour Junkies After Dark, presented by DraftKings, where we, the Tour Junkies, come late at night after we have recorded our own podcast, late on a Monday night, and we talk about a couple of names that we disagreed with that we want to get further into, take the gloves off here on the old DraftKings YouTube channel. And we're going to talk DraftKings Sportsbook for this week, the BMW Championship 2020. Now, last week, I do have to say, Pat, props to you. You're the first name you listed last week on this very show, and I don't remember it because I was pretty lit. But I went back and checked the tape, and it was Dustin Johnson at 20-1, who won by 11 shots at 30 under the Northern Trust. So take your victory lap, sir. Make it snappy.
I mean, that's a pretty good number, though. If you're getting a guy like DJ at 20-1, here's the thing, just a little tip. I mean, it's like we saw with John Rahm a few weeks ago when he won at the Memorial. He was around the same number. Like, if I'm getting one of these top players in the world right around like 20 to 25-1, and we've seen good form like we did with Rahm, even though, you know, DJ had like those terrible rounds in the 80s, you got to take advantage of that. And I think it's important to note that, I mean, those are still guys, because DJ, before those two straight rounds in the 80s, had just won. So it's not like, I mean, they can find it that quick. That's how crazy golf is. So anyway, that was one reason I liked him, and it paid off.
Well done to you, sir. I will raise my glass of straight tequila to you.
Woo.
So
I got a little, this short little stemless glass of rosé.
This is just straight up tequila. I plan on vacating this and hopefully getting lucky, if you know what I mean. What are we doing? Oh yeah, Tour Junkies After Dark.
Yeah.
Hey. I got to disagree with you about a couple people. I want to get right.
I'm sure you do.
We're gonna get.
You
right
always do.
Okay. Tiger. Everybody wants to talk about Tiger anyway, so we might as well talk about him. But you like him. I don't. He has shown us no form, really, since the restart. He has been very average. He, I feel like, is not going to enjoy playing 8 rounds in a row, which is what he's going to play if he doesn't withdraw here. Not that he's given – I don't want to give a wrong impression that he's indicated he's hurt or injured, but we know Tiger is – intentionally wants to space out his events pre-pandemic, right? So back-to-back events, not playing that great anyway. No real solid finishes to speak of. I don't know. I don't think he's there. I don't think he's in the right frame of mind, honestly. I don't think he's in the physical condition that he would like to be in. And I think he probably doesn't play well this week. I mean, I think he just finishes a kind of middle of the road again, honestly. I can't
see. I think the opposite. I think Tiger, I liked what I saw.
Well, we know you think the opposite. That's why I called you out on this.
Well, I know. But I think that I like what we saw from him on Sunday this past week. I like the fact that he's playing 2 weeks in a row. If you were to talk to me about Tiger and you were to say, okay, well, he's in his 4th week in a row and he's been terrible the last 3 weeks and blah, 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 like, I could understand why you might not want to play him. But I think it's going to be good for him playing for his 2nd week in a row for the first time in forever. He's got a lot of motivation this week. I think there's, he can, if he has a good week, gets into the Tour Championship, whatever. I mean, I like him. And then, like, the guy's just – he's playing – like, outside of his finishes, he's still striking the ball well. It's just the putting's killing him. But he's on a good course for him as far as putting is concerned. This is bent grass greens, very undulating, very quick, which he always tends to putt well on. I think that this could be a good week for Tiger, and I like him at 8,600, and he's going to have low ownership again because we've seen that since the restart. We haven't seen incredibly high ownership on him. So I like Tiger. I'm okay with him. I mean,
I do think his ownership
There's
is going to be low. I don't think a lot of people are going to play him.
That's one of the major reasons I like about him, by the way. Major things.
He's 57th in the FedEx Cup standings right now. He's got to get to 30 to play next week at Eastlake. The only way he really gets in is a probably top 3, maybe top 5 finish will get him in. And so I just don't think, like, if Tiger doesn't come out to a hot start and it's Saturday, he's one that I could see being like, you know what, I'm not going to push it. I'm not going to press it. We're going to go out here. We're going to have a casual round of golf. I'm not going to try to overdo anything. And this is a long golf course. This is a big boy golf course. I just don't – I don't know. I think it's going to be another middling finish for Tiger.
Well, you do know the points increase in the FedEx Cup playoffs, right? So it's not like – I don't know if third place is necessarily the number there. Like, I think we
saw last week they increased, and we saw the biggest mover last week in the FedEx Cup standings was Kevin Kisner, and he moved 17 spots. If Tiger moved up 17 spots this week, he still doesn't get in next week. He's 27 spots out of it.
Yeah, I still think it's even more this week, though. So you could even have you don't have to necessarily the ups. Like, it doesn't matter. I just think he has a good week and finishes in the top 10. I still think he could probably make it in to the top 30. You might have to double check me on that on the points.
I just don't like the 2 weeks in a row. I don't like the form. I don't know. But obviously, we disagree.
But if we're talking about like, let's not talk about FedEx Cup point. Who gives a? Let's talk about like actually winning money in DraftKings. If he's low owned and he finishes, I mean, like at 8,600, the number isn't top 10 for him necessarily. I mean, he could have a ton of birdies and whatever else, finish top 15, and still get you.
I'm just talking about his motivation, though. I'm just talking about his motivation.
Yeah.
Going into the weekend if he gets off to a sluggish start. That's all I'm talking about.
Okay. All right.
Another guy that we disagree with, that we actually have a side bet on, is the Swedish sensation, Alex Noren. Your boy, who he's an auto pick for Pat every week. I don't know what blackmail Alex Noren has on you. I don't know what it is. His pheromones just get to you when he's in the player pool on DraftKings. You cannot resist yourself. You're like here's a real throwback. You're like Pepe Le Pew. Remember Pepe Le Pew?
That's Pepe Le Pew. I didn't even know you were old enough to know who Pepe Le Pew.
I'm barely old enough to, and I cannot believe I just pulled that from my brain drinking this tequila right now, but I did. Well, whoever the girl was in Pepe, if he got a whiff, it was over.
Yeah,
and that's you.
It was over.
That's you and Alex Noren. And I get that he's had some good finishes, but it has all been with his putter and his scrambling. I mean, ball striking has been very weak, and I think putter regression has to come, and poor ball striking is going to likely continue for Mr. Alex Noren. Why are you strip teasing us right now? You're doing the
about this. I was talking about this on the show. The hips don't lie. Hips don't lie.
All I see is
those
gut.
Hips. Look at those hips. Look at those hips. Hips don't lie. Hips don't lie. You know, so Shakira has that song, The Hips Don't Lie. Hips don't lie. Hips don't lie. I think form don't lie. What does
that have to do with Alex Noren? What does that have to do with Alex Noren?
Because form don't lie. Form don't lie. I'm just trying to make a little comparison there. And his form has been incredibly good.
Okay, what about Tiger's form?
We're talking about Alex Noren now. Let me move this. We're talking about Alex Noren now, not Tiger.
You shook your computer right out of the frame there.
Alex Noren has been in great form lately. I don't care about any other stats that you want to throw at me. And by the way, he's putting fantastic, and he putts fantastic on bent grass greens. So I like Alex Noren. I will take him all day long. Every single week, he's at 7,900. Look at his last 3 starts.
So you are just going to blindly take him every single week, no matter what.
T3 at the 3M Open, top 20 at the PGA Championship on a course that you yourself mentioned was a great corollary course for this week at Olympia Fields. So top 20 there. And then last week, T8, which, by the way, could have been better. He had a few blow-up holes that
He
just kind of
putted
sucked.
well, yeah, that's what happens when you don't drop major putts and you continue to hit it like absolute
It
hot
doesn't matter.
garbage.
Alex Noren has had a fantastic year. I'm all about him this year.
Well, we have a side bet going on. If Alex Noren finishes T20 or better, I am calling Eastlake Golf Club next week. I'm going to prank call him and try to get a tee time and act like I'm totally ignorant to the FedEx Cup Finals, and I'm going to record it. If he finishes T21 or worse, Pat's doing it. So there we go. Side bet if you're interested. Follow along.
And by the way, you never win any of these bets.
I don't.
I will say this in all honesty. I hope that I lose this bet because I actually kind of want to do this. I think this would be fun. I kind of think it'd be fun.
Yeah, trust me, it's got to be better than the ranch water bet that I lost a couple weeks ago, which was okay. I would have rather had a COVID test, and I've had a COVID test. I would think I'd rather have the test than drink that ranch water.
Me too. I've given myself a COVID test.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about some outrights, right?
Let's talk about some sports book tonight. Yeah, let's talk about some outrights. Give me some outright picks. Who you like?
All right, well, I'm going to start my shortest guy, and I usually start a little shorter than this, but I'm not going to do that this week, and that is Patrick Reed at 35-1. I think he's a good play this week. He's he's kind of one of those guys that I think is he's great at scrambling. He's always been good in these playoff events. We saw him win one last week at the Northern Trust, or last year at the Northern Trust, actually on a different course. But I think Patrick Reed is a good play at 35-1. I like Viktor Hovland at 45-1, another guy I like in DFS as well. Ryan Palmer, I think, is a great play this week at 70-1. I think Ryan Palmer is literally, if you're looking for the ATM cash play during the playoffs, that's Ryan Palmer.
Ooh, that 70-1. Scary.
I love him this week. Taylor Gooch also at 150-1, I think is a decent play as well. And then let me back up a little bit, or back up a lot. Hideki at 40-1, I think is another good play. As far as outright winners.
Well, you're just stealing all my outright. Like, you just steal all of them.
Well, you told me to go first.
Well, I agree. I actually agree with Hideki, Palmer. If I want to go shorter, okay, this golf course, is a little bit tougher than what we saw last week. We do think the winning score is going to be similar to Harding Park, around that 15 to 18 under mark. But I think cream will rise to the top more than likely in these FedEx Cup events. Xander Schauffele at 17-1 is as low as I would go. Morikawa at 26-1. Accuracy is number one here because you need to be in the fairway to approach these greens and have the right angles into these small greens and these undulating greens. These flags are going to be on certain tiers of these greens. You got to be in the fairway to be able to control your spin. The rough isn't terrible, but you can't control it as well. But this is also a par 70, 350 yards. It is a long golf course, so length also matters. That's why I kind of compared it to Harding Park, where we saw Morikawa, who's not a bomber by any means, but he's not a short hitter either. But he's very accurate. He's at 26-1. And then the longest one I'll give you right now is Brendan Steele at 110-1. Long hitter, good ball striker, in good form.
Fantastic golf swing. His golf swing is incredible.
I hate his golf swing. Freaking hate it. But, PGA Tour winner, in good form, 110-1 is a big number for a guy like that. So that's it for me. Now, I do have some top 10 bets that I like. I like a guy like Joel Dahmen at 10-1 for a top 10, who enjoys playing on tougher golf courses, who needs motivation. Okay. Joel is motivated by money. Okay.
Alcohol, I think, beer.
And alcohol. Yeah. We know this for a fact. He has never made it to Eastlake. He is sitting at 41 in the FedEx Cup standings, needs to move up 11 spots, and can very realistically do that with a solid week this week. A top 10 would basically lock that in for him, more than likely. getting into Eastlake guarantees him all the majors, all the WGCs. WGCs are automatic money, automatic paychecks. Majors, you got a chance to win a bunch of money. Joel is going to be very motivated this week, which some weeks he's just not as motivated. Okay. I like him at 10-1. Max Homa, long hitter, great iron player. We've seen pop, hasn't played great his last couple of events, but again, a guy who's motivated to get to Eastlake for the first time at 12-1. And then finally, Danny Lee at 14-1, a PGA Tour winner, although it's been a minute. Finished T18 at the Northern Trust just last week. Hits the ball a long way, surprisingly long. Decent iron play, and is known to be kind of a hot player, a streaky player. So the T18 finish gives me a little bit of hope last week. 14-1 is a sizable number in a 70-man field to finish top 10. I'll roll with Danny Lee.
Well, I like all those plays. I will throw one out there that I think is just a decent play, and that's at 16-1. Harry Higgs to finish top 10.
I do like that.
He's 48th in the standings right now, which is not. I mean, look, there's a chance. I mean, at 48,
there's a chance for all these guys. But yeah,
if you have a good week, you could make that top 30. And Harry Higgs is a friend of the show and everything else. I think we saw him finish T11 last week, so he's in good form just based off of last week because he had a rough start when it came to the beginning of the restart. So I think Harry Higgs at 16-1 is a good bet at top 10.
Well, I mean, you think about a guy like Higgs who before last week was in awful form. I mean, awful. And so he gets in the FedEx Cup and he's thinking, okay, let's see if we can make something happen and get hot and get into Eastlake and so there's definitely some extra motivation, especially for these young guys or guys that have never been to Eastlake before, that have never played in the top 30 FedEx Cup playoff event. It's a big deal. Again, I talked about the exemptions, and the guaranteed money, but a guy like Harry Higgs, if he found a little bit of extra motivation, a little bit of mojo, we know how mental this is, right? Like he could pop again. I don't mind that at all. 16-1. That's a nice big number in a 70-man field for a top 10. Hey, there are a few head-to-head matchups that are out right now that I think are interesting to look at. Normally we don't get them this early on Monday that we can talk about them on the show tonight, but I say we hit a couple of them. The first one I like is Bryson DeChambeau and Xander Schauffele are both even money. And I'll take Xander. I will take Xander right now, given his consistency, given the iron play, strokes gained off the tee. Bryson's irons are not good right now. Yes, he is bludgeoning the ball off the tee, and that counts for a lot. But his irons are bad. His scrambling is bad. These are small greens. That means they're tough to hit. Well, guess what? If you miss them, you got to scramble. So if his irons suck and he's not hitting them and he's got to scramble, it's not a great combination for Bryson. He's a world-class player. He could turn on at any minute. But for even money, I definitely like I like Xander there. I also like Louis Oosthuizen even money versus Kevin Na. Louis made a birdie on the last hole to get into this event. Known as a world-class ball striker, very accurate, long off the tee, doesn't get in a lot of trouble off the tee. I think that's a perfect thing required for Olympia Fields this week. Kevin Na a little bit shorter. He's added some length over the years, but he's still not as long as Louis. And not in the, we haven't really seen him pop here. So even money for Louis at -110. I like that. And then another even money situation is Corey Connors over Brian Harman. Connors may have found a little something last week, finished top 25, I believe, at the Northern Trust. He's a tremendous ball striker. Historically, he struggled with the putter a little bit over the restart, but that looks like it may be coming back to neutral for him, which is good. He's longer than Brian Harman, so if he is hitting it in the fairway, he's going to have much shorter approach clubs into these difficult greens. Brian Harman can hear his golf ball land when it hits the ground. So I'll take the even money gamble over Corey Connors, who may have found a little bit of form similar to, a guy like Higgs. He wasn't playing great before last week, and then all of a sudden he had a great week. So I'll take Connors over Harman.
All right, well, I got a couple here that I like. One being Harris English at plus 100 over Patrick Reed. Now, I just mentioned Patrick Reed as an outright bet, but I still think if you're looking at matchups, there's a good case to be made for Harris English, just the way he's been playing. I mean, he's been unreal lately, and he's plus 100 over Patrick Reed. So I could see, I like that bet. I like Tiger Woods at plus 100 over Jason Day. I mean, we don't know what we're going to get from Jason Day. We don't know. I feel like Tiger Woods is a better bet than Jason Day. I like that.
See, I don't know, man.
You're getting plus money on Tiger Woods over
I like
Jason
a bounce
Day.
back for Day here. I like a bounce back
we'll
week
see.
for Day.
But I like that bet as well. So
I mean, how quickly you forget the form that Jason Day was in before
I'm a fan of Jason Day. I'm still a fan of
two bad rounds last week.
But I'm all in on Tiger Woods this week. The chips are in. Throwing them in.
Okay. All right. That wraps it up for TJ After Dark for the BMW Championship. We'll be back next week for the FedEx Cup Finals. It's going to be a big week. 30 of the top players. It's going to be a lot of fun. Hope you guys have a great week. Give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel here. Leave us a comment if you will. Tell us where you think Alex Noren finishes. Tell us that. Tell us where you think Alex Noren finishes this week. How many are on my side? How many are on Pat's side? That's what I'd like to know. Leave that in the comments. And one of us is going to be making a prank call to Eastlake next week for sure. Good stuff. May your screens be green for the BMW Championship 2020. See ya.
Oh!